Hello everybody, I am Tom and you are watching me play Disco Elysium. In today's episode, I have my torch out. Not that I really need it, probably. But in today's episode, we're gonna go talk to... what's his name? The smoking guy we found on the balcony. And the reason is because we had to wait until after 9 PM to see if he was home. And it's now after 9 PM, so I guess we can go check if he's home, right? Through here, I believe. Through here and then upstairs? That ain't it. Where were the stairs? Oh, balcony. Yeah. Maroon glow of light, pollution rises from the east. Here, distant traffic, night is falling on the city.
This door is made of metal and appears to be reinforced. Someone here really values their security.
Knock.
No one answers.
We should return tomorrow. Tomorrow at 9 PM.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just thought I'd check because the actual thing tells me, like... What is this? Free money. And a locked door. Alrighty then. So, we can't talk to him yet, that's fine. What is the time now? It's like 10, right? Yeah, 10:34. So I think at this point, I can, quote-unquote, end the day. So I guess we head to the Whirling and Rags, right? I don't think I have anything else pressing to do today, except for a couple of things I want to do after Kim has gone to bed. I want to talk to what's her name. I also want to go and take the boots off that corpse. So... I also need to unequip a torch because I don't need it on, to be honest. Alright, to the whirling. I believe we can end the day now without any real problems. I also know her name, right? So I might be able to finagle something out of her, but we'll think of that later.
Can I help you?
Goodbye. I think I just go upstairs, right? Yep. Aha! I've ditched the detective. So now there's a couple of things I want to try by myself. As I said, specifically I want to go talk to, I can't remember her name. This is closer, so let's go here first. See if I can grab these boots. Should probably re-equip the torch now I think about it.
The bear's eyes are still glowing red.
Try to
It's
remove the
guarding
dead
over
man's
the freezing
boots.
corpse hidden inside its belly. The body is reluctant to let go of the boots, as though it were its last bit of dignity. Whatever you're planning to do, you need to do it before you catch pneumonia in the cold draft coming from deep inside the fridge.
Pull in the right boot.
It's not completely useless. You're able to reveal a little more of the putrid polymer sock beneath the boot.
Pull in the left boot.
It feels like the leg is going to come off along with the boot, but you're able to get the boot to move a centimeter or two.
Adjust his seating position first.
He's too heavy to move by yourself. A great mass of dead muscles, with hoarfrost covering his milky eyes.
Try to twist the boots off one by one.
This is the right method. It takes some time, but eventually the boots come off, with nasty slices of polymer sock stuck to even bigger pieces of skin and rotting flesh.
Take stock of the damage.
Not good. Let's pin this on the bear. The ice bear tore up his legs with its claws. As for the boots, you can't possibly do anything with them until you've cleaned and disinfected them thoroughly. Yes, these absolutely need to be washed before. The stink is incredible. Didn't the Whirling have a kitchen?
I love the way my brain works. Didn't the Whirling have a kitchen? So I should have some boots now, I assume. I don't imagine they're clothes.
These boots were probably left on the corpse because they were impossible to pull off while it was hanging. They're not exactly pleasant to look at right now, much less smell. Hopefully soon you'll know more about them.
Will I be able to wear them? Okay, so we'll go and check the kitchen later, I suppose. But first, let's go and talk to, what's her name, because I want to talk about, the meaning of life, as it were. And Kim keeps thinking that that's ridiculous. Why would you ask such questions? And I mean, he's not wrong, but at the same time, I'm interested, goddammit. And hopefully she's still awake. She is indeed. Hello.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
More questions about reality. I'll talk to her about Everard later.
More lessons in basic reality? My favourite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
What is this? Spread your
A
hands.
bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
I meant, what is this place here?
Ah. This is the pier of Rue des Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two.
What is Rue de Saint-Ghislain 33A?
A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course.
Who lived in them?
Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat.
You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a soaring motion.
Wonderful.
What is that?
The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infraculture?
Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture.
I understand everything. Make it more complicated somehow.
I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead.
Generally speaking.
All right. What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
I think I might be part of an infraculture.
And what would that be?
Cop?
She lets out an unrestrained laugh, the crow's feet stretching onto her cheeks.
So funny about that?
Nothing. It's just, true, that's all. The uniforms, the language. Let's have another question about reality, shall we?
What are you?
What I am not is a basic term of reality.
There may be a way to get her speaking about herself at some later
Interesting.
juncture.
What times are these?
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late.
Too late for what?
For the big time.
Huh. The big time.
The revolution.
What is this revolution I keep hearing about?
It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
I mean, that's cynical, but not entirely incorrect. Would you say it's a bunch of apes duking it out?
Why, of course. We're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing intraspecies warfare.
And the apes? Are they evil?
No. I would say the apes were neutral.
Neutral.
On the other hand,
Who got shot in the head?
those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists,
They all got shot in the head.
they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
Did the communists and the anarchists shoot back?
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
That's a tragedy.
Yes. The Red Deluge. The Insulindian Deluge, they call it.
Anyone else get shot in the head on the opposite side?
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
Smart king.
Yes. King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down? Anyway, Gil got out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
Who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
And by liberals, you mean?
Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
How did they win it all?
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
Who are the Coalition?
The Coalition of Nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
Some of these questions I know the answers to, but I'm just interested to see her insights in them. Moralist?
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky. Unofficial. For a moment, there was hope.
If always picking the option doesn't commit to anything, then hell yes I am. And also not.
An almost endearingly moralist standpoint. It must be hard to take a moderate approach to head shooting in your line of work.
When was this kerfuffle?
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved.
Who started it?
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government.
What did this Trazart do?
It made people overthrow their governments.
Really?
Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
Where did it spread from there?
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
What came next?
Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
What is the zone of control?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune.
It's interesting, I'm actually getting memories thrown in here occasionally. What happened to the rest of the world?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication, telematic milieus, radiation, coloured plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
So it's been like this for 43 years?
Time flies.
What have we been doing all this time?
The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river levelled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. '08 to '19 was simply hell.
And after that?
The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
And were they?
No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s
Fair enough.
dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked the right side.
What side was Wild Pine's group on?
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here, and others are not.
They chose wisely.
Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have bet on the king and led the Pines to doom.
Why would you have sided with the king?
I would have sided with the cannons. If
Right.
you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. Perhaps it's better I was born when I was. 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company.
What would you have done differently?
Good question. What would you have done differently?
Don't really know.
And you would have died, most likely. Not far from here. Maybe even right here, during the beachhead, defending the coast the day the Coalition took the city.
Probably.
No, almost certainly. The Commune would have forced you. Such was the fate of the undecided.
It's enough about the times.
They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Now's your chance. Ask her who she is. She won't get out this time.
Seriously, I want to know who you are.
She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
Say nothing.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
I don't understand. What's so vile about that?
Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. One of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. We surrendered the nation to financial colonists. No sane person identifies as an ultra anymore. Not in broad daylight. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
I don't care.
A fitting punishment, to be forgotten, if not forgiven. Save a prayer for us in our chateaus on Ozon and in Stella Maris. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed.
Would you have done something differently?
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake, then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty.
True.
We should have burned the whole Isla down rather than let them have it.
Probably true. You're a smart woman.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
You're no dummy yourself.
So am I.
A smart boy getting smarter, one basic term of reality at a time.
Indeed. You're a patriot.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
You have daughters.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
Now that we're alone, what is pale?
Are you sure you're sure? Your colleague seemed adamant.
Yes, what is the pale?
Okay. The pale is the most dominant geological feature of the world, Detective. The separative tissue between the islas. It is the inter-islary mass.
What is the pale like?
Achromatic, odorless, featureless. The Pale is the enemy of matter and life. It is not like any other, or anything in the world. It is the transition state of being into nothingness.
The negation of being.
The negation of...
That's right. The negation of being.
How much pale is there compared to the world?
The Pale outweighs reality 2 to 1. There is more Pale than there is matter, and the ratio is slipping.
Slipping how? To our detriment, or...
What do you think, Detective?
There's more and more of the world.
Oh no, Detective. It's not. One of the few measurable effects of the Pale is that it is expanding at an unknown rate. An intuitive conclusion of that development is that one day the Pale will cover everything. But this sort of talk is mostly left to extremists.
Cover everything? That can't be. Where would we go?
Most people, and indeed most private and government sector organizations, entire civilizations and religions even, find handy ways to ignore or downplay that knowledge. I suggest you do the same.
If we're surrounded by Pale, how do we get from Isola to Isola?
Oh, it is so difficult for us.
A squall of birds. Hardware operating in the harbour. Firm. Self-evident.
It is possible to force dimensions on the Pale. In modern times, we can even compress its latitude, bouncing radio waves from one end to the other, shortening the path. But it is still hard for humans to navigate the Pale without getting lost, or having our minds damaged.
The Pale can damage the mind.
Extensively.
How?
Some say the damage stems from extreme sensory deprivation. Others argue that Pale somehow consists of past information that's degrading, that it's rarefied past, not rarefied matter. They call it the blend over of the self. The Pale does not only suspend the laws of physics, but also the laws of psychology, maybe history even. The human mind becomes over-radiated by past.
Who says and who argues?
Who says and who argues?
The logical positivists say, the dialectical materialists argue.
Yeah, fair enough. Dialectical materialists. What does the over-radiation feel like?
It feels terrible. Absolutely terrible. International standards strictly limit civilian travelers to 6 days of Pale exposure per year.
It's more for her. Way more.
You're not a civilian passenger.
No, nameless detective of the Citizens Militia. I am a member of the Entropanetic Business Class. I'm cleared and trained for 22 days of Pale transit annually.
Someone else you've met may have been exposed as well. The strange grey-haired woman in her lorry.
Interesting. Do lorry drivers pass the Pale?
Yes, carried in the hulls of airships. It's a horrific job. Automation will abolish it soon.
You should ask the Pale driver about this. See what she says.
Are you over-radiated?
Up to my gills, officer.
What is entropanetic?
Entropanetics is the scientific study of the Pale, or a recent iteration of it by way of grad. The study of the Pale reaches back 6,000 years. The Pericarnassians called it the Western Plain.
They had not travelled the entire circumference of the Pericarnassian Super Isola. It was not merely in the west, it was everywhere, even then, surrounding them.
Did they cross it? The Western Plain?
There are signs of pretermodern crossings. Successful navigation of the Pale relies not just on technical know-how, but intensive psychological preparation. Some of these tactics have been known for thousands of years.
What has entroponetics changed then?
Nothing. We remain powerless before the Pale. The only real advance in Pale transit is the speed with which an aerostatic craft can pierce it. Less exposure leads to less effects later.
Aerostatic craft?
Hybrid airships, Detective. Conventional rotors or jet engines no longer add velocity after the point of reference for motion is suspended, once you've crossed from near Pale to far Pale. In essence, we throw them in and they come out the other end. If we throw them precisely.
If we do not.
Then they don't.
Interesting.
Gone, like a skipping stone beneath the surface.
What are its physical qualities? I don't think it has any, that's the point, right?
It's difficult to describe, or even measure. Something whose fundamental property is the suspension of properties. Physical, epistemological, linguistic. The further into Pale you travel, the steeper the degree of suspension, right down to the mathematical. Numbers stop working. No one has yet passed the number barrier. It may be impossible.
Is it here?
No, Detective. We're safe. It begins there, 6,000 kilometers to the north, and even more to the south, east, and west. You are in the middle of the Isla.
And to the north?
An uproar of matter, darling. Rising into the Pale. Rolling. Evaporating even. A great vision. The area of transition between the world and the Pale is called Porch Collapse. Imagine a grey coronal mist, cold vapor marked by spores of an opportunistic microorganism. A mold that's adapted to grow at the edge of the unrest. It's the most disco thing you will ever see.
Let's return to reality, please.
Yes, sweet reality. But before we do, tell me, Detective, is this the first time you're hearing this? Do you really not remember anything?
I sometimes sense vague shadows of a past. I'm getting a sense of who I am, but no, I don't know this.
Beyond curious. Tell me, what do you think of the Pale?
I'm worried, I have to say. It doesn't sound very liberal to me.
You really didn't know. This does not spell good for the investigation, Detective. If you don't know even this, then...
This investigation will be my masterpiece, the one they will remember me by. I promise.
I hope so. I truly do. If I may suggest, hold on to your colleague, Kitsuragi. I ran a check on him and he is very competent. In the meanwhile, you have me. I will assist you in any way I can, even if we have to do it one basic term at a time.
Thank you. Interesting. What is think of something close to you?
6 kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again. We always do.
What am I?
You? You're an officer of the RCM.
The Revachol Citizens Militia.
Preciso mundo.
Good, and what is the Revachol Citizens Militia?
Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective.
De facto.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin.
What do you mean?
The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital.
Interesting. So I'm basically a thrall to foreign interests.
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent, provisional rulers like it. Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you.
Why?
The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the international zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you.
Interesting.
So permit me to conclude with this. Who you are to me is the police, the only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol.
Thank you, ma'am.
And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help.
This is not highlighted, so I'm going to ask it anyway, but I think it's just going to repeat. What was the RCM again?
Nothing more nor less than the de facto law. Yes, that means not. Permit me to conclude with this. And if those authorities drink...
That's all for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
Thank you, that's all for now. Well, that was certainly interesting. It's now 11:30, I guess I can go sleep. It's 37 minutes, took me a fairly long time. I guess I also want to go to the kitchen and see if I can wash these fucking shoes. Because I am a complete moron. I have quite a few level ups as well, I think. How many do I have? I think I have 4 skill points that I can spend. I'm gonna keep them, once again, just until I get to a point where I need to pass a skill check. Seems to be the way to go. Let's go into the kitchen here and see whether there's anybody in here. If there's not, I'll try and wash these fucking shoes in this man's kitchen. Because we're borderline evil. Go into the kitchen, shall we?
This industrial gas-powered stove has been used to prepare food for many hungry hostel guests. There are several pots and pans on hand.
Check the cleaning supplies.
There is a variety of soaps and bleaches in the cabinet to the left of the stove. There is also a bottle of white vinegar in the cabinet next to the fridge. It's bad with those boots. Don't be stingy now.
The boots are really disgusting. Pour some dish soap and a bottle of white vinegar into the
The
pot.
delicious smells of cheap soap and vinegar waft up from the pot. All right now, chef. Light up the stove and boil them.
Add water and the boots to the pot. Bring it all to a nice boil.
The strong smell of vinegar forces you to step away from the pot. The water slowly comes to a boil.
Wait.
Strips of polymer fabric and human tissue separate from the lining of the boots. They float to the bubbling surface.
Wait some more.
The boots look cleaner and cleaner. Those bits of human flesh are beginning to look cooked. You can smell it too, just like beef stew.
A little more.
That's it, chef. The boots are as clean as they're going to get. Steam, dense with the smell of strange meat, disappears into the vent above the stove.
Dump the sock and flesh stew and examine your new boot.
A pair of real beauties. The boots are shiny, hot, and reek of vinegar. Just perfect.
Master Chef out. I now have new clothes. They give me +2 authority. So I have negative composure now. I think that's fine. That gives me +1 composure. When I need composure, I can swap my boots. Good to know. And when I need authority, I can swap them too. But I got some boots. It's cool.
The door is closed.
Knock.
There is no answer. It's nighttime, officer.
Yeah, exactly. So she might be in her room. Okay. I'm actually going to leave it here, just because last time I slept there was like a big thing that happened, and we walked... was it last time I slept? Yeah. There was a bunch of shit that happened, so I'm assuming there might be more shit that happens now. So we're going to sleep at the start of next episode. Any case, that's going to be it for this episode, so if you liked the video, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And as always, thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye, guys.